Hi, welcome to another episode of TEC2. I'm Bill Shanel, one of the hydronics product managers for Temperature Equipment Corporation and HVAC Solutions. And today we're going to talk about some of the bleeding, the air bleeding basics with the HC and the DC series boilers. All right. Every piece of equipment has its own little bit of personality, and with this one we've got a little bit of personality. So a couple of the things that you get into is the cold water, the cool water return is coming in the boiler on this side, and the hot water supply is coming out that side. When you've installed the boiler and you want to use the bolt-on manifold that makes your primary loop, you'll see this is the supply water that goes through the rest of the building. When you're bleeding the system, it's very common for air, since the water is going this direction, it's very common for air to hit either one of these risers and go up into the boiler. So we suggest that you bleed the system first, and that's especially important if you're doing a radiant system where all of your radiation is below you. So all the air, this would be the highest point in the system. If it's a more traditional home where you're on the first floor or second floor, the air would tend to rise there. But we can get air that comes up and goes into the boiler. Once that, let me open this up and you'll see what I mean. If we get the air that comes in, comes back in and goes up the supply piping or the hot water piping, again, the boiler's not running, so we're not circulating any water, we're just filling the system. You might have air that will come up through this supply or the hot water piping. Now, this is a demonstration boiler that goes on a truck, so we don't have all of the connections, but the factory supplies you with an air vent as well as the relief valve. So there should be an air vent supplied here. So any air that comes in and travels up this supply pipe should get vented by the air vent, but make sure that you've opened the cap so the air can actually get out. All right, that's one way to get the air out. The other pipe, the second pipe, is it'll come in and it goes directly and goes into the circulator before it goes through the serpentine coil for the system. We would use the air vent to take any air that gets into the boiler compartment, into the piping inside the boiler, to remove it. However, one bit of personality, as I said. This circulator, it's not completely uncommon to get this circulator. The way that the circulator works, it's a water lubricated circulator, and if you get air in there, the circulator won't run. It'll give you symptoms as though the circulator is dead, it is defective, when in fact 99.8% of the time it's not. We just have some air that's trapped inside this circulator. So I'll show you how we fix that. But and so what we would do is to take a rag, because we're going to actually bleed this circulator. So we take a rag, we put it underneath, because when we bleed it, we don't want any water to come down because we've got electronics underneath. So we would put a rag down underneath there, and there is about the size of a nickel, a little cap on here with a single slot on it. We go in and we open that up. And I don't know if you can see that, but you're starting to see a little bit of fluid leak out. I'm going to close it so we don't lose fluid, because this system does not need to be bled. But if you had air in there, you might hear it. You saw how quickly that it bled. If you had any air trapped in there, you might open it up. I've even seen where we've removed the cap and there's no fluid dripping out. There's that much air that's trapped in there. Again, you keep the rag underneath until you start to get water or fluid weeping out. Once you've done that, you've bled the air out of the casing of the pump. Close and tighten. You don't have to bang it down. It's got an O-ring on it. Just tighten it, finger tight on there. And now the circulator is going to be filled with water. It'll be fully lubricated, and you'll start to get flow of water through. So if you have a startup on a system, boiler's running, everything's running, but this circulator is getting very, very hot and you're not getting hot water out of on the space heating side. Grab a rag, bleed this circulator. I think you'll be surprised, and it'll save you a lot of aggravation. Thanks for joining us on TEC Tube. Check for us next time. I'm Bill Shanel with HVAC Solutions. We'll see you again.